Welcome to the Shreveport Connection with Tommy. This video is on your Hell in a Cell results, along with the kickoff show. As the panel goes over tonight's matches, Coach Jonathan Coachman is on the pre-show now. He leads us to a video package of tonight's women's title match. We get more discussion on tonight's matches, other matches including Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella versus Miz and Maurice. We go backstage to Charlie Caruso with Dean Ambrose and WWE Intercontinental Champion Seth Rollins. Ambrose says that the balance of power will not change tonight, but Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre will not leave with the Raw Tag Team titles. And we'll realize that they never had the power to begin with. Rollins notes that the Shield may hold all the Raw men's titles after tonight, and this is just another chance to prove why they are the workhorse of the brand. They walk off, then we go to a commercial break. We get a promo for Randy Orton versus Jeff Hardy next, and Paige has revealed that the cell match with Randy Orton versus Jeff Hardy was opening the show. David Otunga joined the panel, replacing Booker T. They discuss the match on how Jeff is promising to do something crazy tonight. Coach leads us to a promo for tonight's WWE title match. The panel discusses tonight's Raw women's titles. And Alexa Bliss joins Coach from backstage and comments on the massive ego that Raw Women's Champion Ronda Rousey has. Bliss is confident about being a 6-time champion tonight. She says Rousey isn't 100% right now, but Rousey won't admit that. Coach hypes the Undertaker's return to Raw tomorrow night and the match with Triple H at WWE Super Showdown. We go to the announcers at ringside. And the match on the pre-show, you got SmackDown Tag Team title match, Rusev Day versus the New Day. Tom Phillips welcomes us to ringside as the fans continue to find their seats in the arena. He's joined in by Corey Graves and Byron Saxton. Out first are SmackDown Tag Team Champions, New Day, Big E, Xavier Woods, and Kofi Kingston. They take mics and do comedy, but also give props to their opponents. They go to perform a little rhyme that they wrote for their opponents, but Aiden English interrupts. Fan chant Rusev Day as English comes to the stage to do his introduction. English has a clearing of the throat off of the New Day. He takes shots at the New Day and introduces his partner, Rusev. Out he comes as Lana and Greg Hamilton does the introductions. The bell rings and English starts off with Kofi. Woods watches from ringside, so he's sitting out of this match. So you got Kofi Kingston and Big E for the tag titles. English looks to catapult Kofi, but he lands on his feet. Kofi drops English and hits a double stomp for a quick pin attempt. Rusev tags in and blocks kicks. Rusev rams Kofi back in the corner. They run the ropes. Rusev catches a crossbody. Rusev unloads with knees to the gut. Rusev then with a follow-away slam for a 2 count. Screen splits with a promo for Bliss versus Rousey. We come back and Rusev keeps control of Kofi as he has him grounded. Kofi fights up and out, but Rusev beats on him in the corner. Rusev then places Kofi on the top turnbuckle and rocks him. Rusev climbs up, but Kofi leaps out, nailing a big tornado DDT from the top. Big E rallies as English reaches for a tag. English and Big E tag at the same time. Big E with several belly suplexes for a pop, and then Big E stands over English and dances, probably with his swivel hips, what have you. I was having to work until 6 o'clock, so I didn't catch the first match until like 15, 20 minutes into the pay-per-view. Big E ran the ropes and hits a big splash. Rusev then tags in to make a save. Rusev then nails a clothesline and a big kick to Big E. Rusev with more offense than a spin kick. Kofi runs in, but Rusev takes him out. Big E comes from behind, but Rusev drops him with a big kick for a 2 count. Fan chant for Rusev Day as Rusev waits for Big E. Big E avoids a Machka kick. Rusev goes for a takedown, but is blocked. Rusev gets sent over the top, but English tags in. But Big E didn't see it. Of course, he ain't the one that has to see it. The referee does. Big E gets dumped over the top. English runs the ropes and leaps out, checking Big E down on the floor. English brings it back in, drops Big E on the face for a 2 count. English goes up top, but misses a senton as Kofi tags in. They hit the big double team on English, but he can't get the pin. More back and forth action as Kofi misses a trouble in paradise. Rusev tags in, but Kofi dumps him over the top. Kofi rocks English with a kick. Kofi then runs the ropes, and Big E launches him out onto Rusev, but Rusev kicks him out of midair. Big E gets sent face first into the apron as Xavier checks on him. Rusev brings Kofi back into the ring to put him away, but English tags in. They have some words between the two, and Lana looks frustrated. This leads to English going to the top and hitting a diving headbutt, but Kofi kicked out. English channels his inner Rusev and applies accolade on Kofi. Big E runs in, but Rusev nails a monster kick. English keeps the accolade locked in on Kofi. Kofi breaks it as Rusev begs for the tag. Rusev runs in, but gets sent to the outside by Kofi. Kofi then nails Trouble in Paradise on English for the pin to retain. After the match, New Day celebrate as Rusev Day shows frustration at ringside. As Rusev Day hits the back, we go to the panel and they discuss the rest of the card. We go back to Mike Rome and WWE Hall of Famer Mick Foley. Bang, bang. Who will be the special referee for tonight's main event? And following the pay-per-view, Mick Foley's special on his comedy special after the pay-per-view, only on WWE Network. As Foley talks about getting emotional when he arrived to the arena and saw the cell earlier today. Foley says tonight it's not about Journey, it's about Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman tearing each other apart. And he just happens to have the best seat in the house. Acting Raw General Manager Constipated Corbin walks in and welcomes Foley to his first pay-per-view. Corbin says he's pulling out all the stops tonight, but with Stephanie McMahon's blessing. Foley offers to give Corbin some pointers, but Corbin says he's good and will let the action speak for him. Constipated one walks off. We'll go back to the panel for more discussion on tonight's main event. Coach leads us to the video package for Strowman versus Reigns. We get final hype for the panel, and that's it for the kickoff show. All right, the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view opens up with a video package live from the sold out AT&T Center in San Antonio, Texas, and Tom Phillips welcomes us. He's joined in by Corey Graves and Byron Saxton on the pay-per-view. Hell in a Cell, first match. As I told you earlier, it was announced that Jeff Hardy versus Randy Orton. We go to the ring as a new red cell structure is lowered around the ring. Randy Orton was out first to a pop. Tom introduces the Spanish and German announce team at ringside. Jeff Hardy's out next to a bigger pop as Greg Hamilton does the ring introductions. Hardy approaches the cell and has words with Orton, who stares him down from the inside. Hardy enters and the referee locks it up. The bell rings and Hardy immediately rushes Orton, beating him into the corner. Orton fights out and goes for a suplex, but Hardy avoids it. Orton drops Hardy over the top rope and brings it outside, sending him face first into the red steel. Hardy counters, but Orton beats on him and keeps control, sending him into the steel of the cage again. Hardy fights back. Of course, it's not around the ring apron. It's on the floor itself. As Hardy fights back, sending Orton into the steel, Hardy was shots to the apron and the steel himself. Hardy drops Orton on the outside as the fans pop. Hardy goes under the ring and brings out a table, sliding it into the ring. Orton turns it around and brings Jeff back in. Orton tries to position the table, but Jeff runs the ropes and drop kicks it into Orton's gut. Orton falls back into the steel of the cage. Hardy brings the ladder out. Hardy approaches with the ladder, but Orton brings the steel chair from under the ring and swings it. Hardy gets the upper hand and Orton goes down on the outside. Orton gets up with a steel chair shot to the back. Orton works Hardy over with strikes and uppercuts on the outside now. Orton goes for the RKO on the chair, but Hardy shoves him into the steel. Hardy runs and jumps off the chair, driving Orton into the steel cage again. Fans chant delete as we get replays. Hardy brings it back into the ring and hits a Hardy arrest in the corner. Hardy with a 2 count. Hardy keeps control and goes up top. Orton cuts him off with a right hand. Orton climbs up for a superplex and nails it. Orton is slow to make the cover and Hardy kicks out at 2. Hardy fights back and goes to the top for a whisper in the wind. Orton kicks out at 2. Hardy keeps control and goes to the outside for more ladders. Hardy stands the ladder up, slide down between the ring and the steel. Hardy tries to suplex Orton into the ladder, but Orton counters and slams Hardy on top of the upside down ladder. Orton brings it back in the ring for a 2 count. Orton brings the chair into the ring and smacks Hardy over the back. Orton with another chair shot to the back. Orton talks trash while Hardy is down and rips his shirt off. Orton with more big chair shot to the back. Orton takes off Hardy's studded belt and whips him with it. Orton with a 2 count. Orton starts stomping on Hardy now as fans rally for him. Orton brings the ladder into the ring and positions Hardy between the legs. Orton closes the legs on Hardy and smashes him with them. Orton stomps Hardy while he's trapped in the ladder now. Orton with a 2 count. Hardy fights back and runs over Orton with a clothesline. Hardy with an inverted atomic drop, the leg drop, and a low drop kick. Orton still kicks out of 2. Fans try to rally for Hardy. Orton blocks the twist of fate and power slams Hardy. Orton with a repeated pin attempt now. Orton goes under the ring and dumps out a toolbox now. Orton brings a screwdriver into the ring. Orton keeps Hardy grounded and exposes his ear. Orton puts his finger into Hardy's ear lobe and tries to tear it. Orton slides the screwdriver into the lobe now like this, stretching it back, pulling on it. And Orton twists the screwdriver while it's in Hardy's lobe now. Hardy gets up to his feet and breaks the vicious holes with a low blow back kick. Now Hardy attacks Orton with his belt. Hardy with chair shot on Orton. Hardy with more offense. And a 2 count. Hardy goes back to the top for a swanton bomb, but Orton jumps and crotches him. Orton hits the second rope draping DDT. Orton then stands tall as poses to a mixed reaction from the crowd. Orton drops him and hits the mat, waiting for Hardy to get back up. Hardy blocks the RKO and hits the twist of fate in the middle of the ring. Hardy places a chair on top of Orton and goes back up top himself. Hardy nails a swanton on top of Orton and the chair. Orton kicks out at 2. Hardy goes under the ring and brings another ladder and another table in it. Fans pop as Hardy enters the ring. Hardy stands a ladder up in the middle of the ring. Hardy stands a shorter ladder next to the first ladder. Hardy stands a table up next in between the taller ladder and the ropes. Hardy gets a delete chant going as Orton stands up. Hardy nails a twist of fate and knocks Orton onto the table. Hardy unloads and positions Orton on the table. Hardy goes on top of the short ladder. He thinks about leapfrogging the taller ladder, but changes his mind. Hardy goes to the top of the taller ladder, grabs the top of the sail, swings from it. Hardy swings a few times and drops himself like a splash down on top of the table as Orton has already moved and Hardy is injured and crashing through the table. Fan chant holy crap as the referee checks on Hardy as the table also broke. The referee calls for the EMTs to come out as Orton clears the debris away and covers for the pin. And after the match, Orton has showed some of his injuries, as he even says, if you've been for the old saying, a piece of you always lose a piece of you inside the seal. And this link right here for you is on his Instagram account. After the pinfall, referee screams for help to come to the ring. Orton gets to his feet and is announced the winner to the mixed reactions as the sail is raised above the ring. EMTs place Hardy in the neck brace and start unloading him onto a stretcher at ringside. Orton's music hits as we go to replays. Orton slowly walks up the ramp as the trainers get Hardy loaded onto the stretcher. Fan chant Hardy as Orton looks on from the ramp. We get another replay of the finish as Hardy is stretchered up the ramp. As I log in to the pay-per-view myself at that point. Back from a break, Caleb Braxton is backstage with WWE Champion AJ Styles, asking how he will stay focused against Samoa Joe tonight after the recent comments about AJ's family. AJ says he is laser focused and can't wait for the match to start. AJ says it's time to stop talking and start fighting. And he's ready to rip Joe's heart from his chest. AJ then says he will walk out with the title tonight because this is his house that he built. AJ walks off. Tom leads us to a video package for tonight's SmackDown Women's title match, which is Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair. We go to the ring. Out first comes Becky Lynch, SmackDown Women's Champion. Charlotte Flair was out next. We get formal ring introductions from Greg Hamilton and Becky Lynch. Becky gets the largest pop. The bell rings and they lock up. They go to the mat and tangle with gator rolls. Flair takes Becky down, keeps her grounded for a moment. More back and forth on the mat. Flair goes for the leg, but Becky counters. Becky drops Flair and runs the ropes. Flair goes for the leg again, tries to go for the figure four, but Becky resists. And Becky locks in a disarmer, but Flair fights out of it. Becky keeps an arm hold applied as they were unable to get their submission finishers locked in. Becky only got a 1 count. Flair kicked up and takes Becky's back down. Flair works on the leg and keeps Becky grounded. As they go back and forth in the corner, Flair goes shoulder first into a ring post. Becky sends Flair out to the floor and follows to drop her again. Fans pop for Becky. Becky brings it back into the ring for a 2 count. Becky drops Flair again and continues to work on both arms. Becky with another pin attempt. Flair fights back, but Becky keeps her grounded. And fan chant, "Let's go, Becky." At her as Becky keeps a hammerlock applied, and Flair cannot escape. Flair finally fights up and out and delivers a chop and more offense, but Becky drops her for a 2 count. Becky with a leg drop and an elbow drop in the middle of the ring. Becky goes for another leg drop, but Flair moved out of the way. Flair sent Becky face first into the mat. Becky countered again and continues to focus on the arm. Flair kicks Becky off the apron and then into the barrier. They trade big shots on the apron now. Becky drives the arm down into the mat, but can't get the pin. Becky tries for the disarmer again, but can't get it locked in. Becky with a belly to back suplex. Fans rally for Becky again, but Flair gets the upper hand. They trade shots near the corner, and Flair drops Becky with a big boot. Flair goes up for a moonsault, but Becky moves out of the way. Becky goes for a triangle, but Flair resists. Flair powers up and nails a sit-down powerbomb for a close 2 count. Flair and Becky trade shots in the middle of the ring. Again, as fans go along with them. Becky unloads with 4-arm shots. Becky drops Flair on her shoulder, but Flair kicks out just in time. Fans chant Becky's name. Becky goes up top but misses a missile drop kick. As Flair caught her and turned that into a Boston Crab. But Becky made it to the bottom rope to break the hold. Becky goes to the floor, slams Flair's shoulder and left arm into the ring post. Becky brings it back in the ring. And Flair rolls her up for a 2 count. Becky goes right back into the disarmer, but Flair is close to the ropes. Flair gets on the bottom rope to escape to the floor. And Becky holds it as the referee counts to 4. And she's still got a hold lock in. Becky comes right back in, but Flair elbows her in the face. Flair goes for the spear, but Becky catches her and turns it into a roll-up for the win and the title. Winner and new women's champion, Becky Lynch. After the match, Flair gets emotional and looks on as Becky celebrates with the title. We're going to replays. We'll come back and Flair is on her feet. They meet in the middle of the ring. Flair extends her hand, but Becky just raises the title and talks trash in Flair's face. Well, that's what the report says. I didn't see Becky even moving her lips. Just raising the title. Heelish, as the fans are chanting for Becky as she turned heel, and Flair is the face. And the crowd was chanting, "Boo for Flair." All right. As Becky walks off to the back, as fans cheer her, and Flair looks on. Back from a break, and announcers say Jeff Hardy was taken to a local hospital with some severe abdominal pain. Announcers talk about the New Day retaining over Rusev Day on the kickoff show. They show replays and celebrate. Backstage shenanigans, they hype their WWE Super Showdown defense against the Bar. And next matchup, you got Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose versus Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler. We go to the ring, and Michael Cole welcomes us to the Red Brand match of the night. He's joined in by Renee Young and Corey Graves. JoJo does ring introductions. As Raw Tag Team Champions, Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre are out first. Cole introduces some of the other international teams in the arena. Intercontinental Champion Seth Rollins was out next, followed by Dean Ambrose. The Shield members head to the ring together. Pan Champ burn it down as Rollins starts off with Ziggler. They go at it and the trade holds. Ziggler drops Rollins first and talks some trash while keeping control. Rollins counters and backs Ziggler into the corner. Ambrose tags in and unloads on Ziggler. Ambrose drops the elbows for a 2 count. Rollins comes back in. Ziggler ends up avoiding a stop. Ziggler regroups with McIntyre on the outside. The referee counts. McIntyre tags in and stuns Rollins with a big shoulder tackle. McIntyre wants Ambrose to come in as he challenges. Rollins does tag him in, the fans pop. Ambrose and McIntyre meet in the middle of the ring. That's Drew does the old Western style thing. Draws a line, an invisible line in the middle of the ring. And Ambrose just looks at the crowd, looks at Seth, comes back, gets in his face. Like it just wants to scare him or something. McIntyre strikes first. Ambrose fires back and unloads. Ambrose unloads and strikes in the face. Ziggler runs in for a distraction, allowing McIntyre to turn around on Ambrose. McIntyre and Ziggler take turns on Ambrose in the corner with quick tags. Ziggler taunts Rollins and gets back to work on Ambrose. Rollins tries to rally for Ambrose, but Ziggler beats him back down and wastes some time. Ambrose counters and drops Ziggler over the top rope. Ambrose calls for a tag and gets it. Rollins runs in and unloads on Ziggler. Rollins with a big sling blade. Rollins knocks McIntyre off the apron. Rollins comes off the second rope, but lands on his feet. Rollins drops Ziggler with a spin kick. Rollins runs the ropes and for a dive, but McIntyre trips him up, allowing Ziggler to nail a big DDT for a 2 count. McIntyre then tags in and works Rollins around the ring. Ziggler comes back in and kicks Rollins down. Ziggler distracts the referee, allowing Drew to nail the cheek shot on Rollins. As Ambrose is trying to come back in, referee trying to push him back out. Drew tags it back in for some double tipping on Rollins. Drew stops Rollins, stomps on Rollins' fingers and keeps him down. Talking trash before a kick to the face. Ziggler with another tag and more offense to keep Rollins down. Ziggler drops an elbow, but Rollins kicks out at 1. Ziggler yells at Rollins, challenging him to do something. What is he doing? Stealing John Cena's line? Do something. I remember a couple of months ago when he was telling somebody, do something. Telling Taker to do something? Well, here you go. Rollins rocks Ziggler and fights back. Ziggler jumps on Rollins' back with a sleeper hold. Rollins power to the corner with Ziggler on his back. But Ziggler rakes the eyes to stop the tag. Rollins slams Ziggler as Ambrose waits for the tag. Drew tags in and charges at Rollins, but Rollins sends him to the floor. Drew comes right back in and stops the tag. Rollins and McIntyre go at it now. Drew slams Rollins on the shoulder, but Ambrose breaks up the pin. Drew yells at Ambrose as he goes back to the apron. Rollins fights out of the corner and knocks Ziggler off the apron. Drew tries to stop a tag, but Rollins makes it. The referee doesn't see the tag, and Ambrose is forced back out. The champions take advantage of the distraction and beat Rollins down in the corner. Ziggler tags back in and takes Rollins to the top for a superplex. Rollins blocks and knocks Ziggler to the mat. Ziggler runs right back up, but gets set to the mat again. Drew tags in, but Rollins boots him from the top. Rollins does a blockbuster as Ambrose waits for the tag again. Drew stops the tag, but Rollins kicks him and rolls through. Finally making the tag, Ambrose runs in and unloads on McIntyre, beating him down in the corner. Ziggler also gets dropped by Ambrose. Ambrose runs the ropes and clotheslines Drew. Ambrose with more offense on Drew. Drew counters a move, then Dirty Deeds. Ambrose with a 2 count off of the counter. More back and forth with Ambrose getting an upper hand for another pin attempt. Ambrose goes to the top, but has to kick Ziggler away as he approaches on the apron. Ambrose goes to hit Dirty Deeds on the apron, but McIntyre charges from the ring and knocks Ambrose to the floor. Ambrose sends Drew into the ring post and Ziggler into the barrier. Ambrose brings Drew back into the ring and goes to the top. Ambrose comes off the top, but Drew catches him, hits a belly-to-belly suplex into the turnbuckle. Rollins makes it back to the apron to get the tag. Ziggler and Rollins come in at the same time. Rollins launches himself to take Ziggler down. Ziggler ends up on the floor, and Drew kicks on him. Rollins runs the ropes for a suicide dive, but the champions catch him. Ambrose runs the ropes for a dive next, and he takes everyone down to the floor. Both teams almost get counted out. Rollins counters a DDT and turns it into a Falcon Arrow for a 2 count on Ziggler. Fan chant burn it down as Rollins cranks up for the curb stomp. Rollins tangles with Ziggler, but and nails a buckle bomb for a 2 count. But Drew broke up the pinfall. Ambrose runs in and tangles with Drew. Drew sends him over the top. And a double team for exchange roll-ups. Ziggler with a big zigzag on Rollins for a very close 2 count. Fans pop big. Drew tags in and goes to double team Rollins, but Ambrose pulls Ziggler out of the ring and Rollins super kicks Drew. Rollins up going to the top and hitting the frog splash to Drew's back, but Drew kicks out just in time. Ambrose tags in as they take Drew to the top for a double team move. Ziggler runs in and pulls Rollins down. Rollins tosses Ziggler to the floor. Rollins ends up landing hard on the floor as Ziggler moved. Drew takes out Ambrose from the top with a clothesline. McIntyre kicks up. Ziggler tags for a double team in the corner, but Ambrose fights him off. Rollins tags in as Ambrose sends Drew out of the ring, falling out with him. Rollins with a big superplex on Ziggler. Rollins holds it and goes for the Falcon Arrow, but Drew runs in with a Claymore to Rollins as Ziggler covers Rollins for the pin to retain. Still tag team champions Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler. After the match, Drew gets up and grabs the titles while Ziggler is still down with Rollins. Drew helps Ziggler up, puts him on his back. Drew carries Ziggler up the ramp on his shoulder as Ziggler's music plays. We see Braun Strowman backstage watching the match. Smiling, Mick Foley appears and Braun asks what he wants. Foley says they need to have a little talk. Foley goes on about how the fall will change Braun's life. But no matter how chaotic it gets, Foley needs Braun to respect his authority. Braun says all Foley needs to do is stay out of his way and count the pin. Braun goes on and says Foley does not want a monster problem. Foley calls it a good talk, walks off. And we get a mixed match challenge promo, and Tom leads us to Samoa Joe's bedtime story from SmackDown. Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles is up next. We go to the ring, and out comes Samoa Joe. AJ Styles was out next. Hamilton does the formal ring introduction. As Joe taunts AJ, the bell rings and as AJ unloads, taking Joe into the corner. Joe turns around and unloads with strikes. More back and forth action as AJ drops Joe with a kick, sending him out to the floor. For a breather, AJ with a big knee from the apron. AJ with more big moves on the floor, sending Joe into the announce table with double boots. AJ brings it back in the ring and looks to springboard at Joe, but Joe sees it and rolls out to the floor. AJ leaps out, but Joe knocks him out of the air with a knee. AJ gets up, but Joe floors him on the outside. Joe sends AJ into the steel steps. Joe brings him back into the ring for a 1 count. Joe works AJ around the ring. AJ fights back, but Joe sweeps his leg out. Joe with a boot to the face in the corner as AJ is down. Joe runs the ropes and nails a big knee to the face in the corner. AJ fights back and connects with a headbutt. AJ with more strikes in the corner. Joe counters and drops AJ out of the corner with insecurity. AJ is on the floor for a breather now. Joe runs the ropes and leaps out, knocking AJ into the now table. Joe brings him back into the ring for a 2 count. AJ fights back and stuns AJ. AJ looks to turn it around, but Joe launches himself at AJ and turns him inside out. Joe with another pin attempt before keeping AJ grounded in the middle of the ring. Joe takes AJ to the top and rocks him with headbutts. Joe then looks for a superplex, but AJ slides down and brings Joe down face first. Fans are dueling chants for both guys as AJ unloads with strikes in the ring. AJ with a splash in the corner and a big flying forearm, but Joe kicks out at 2. AJ ends up countering and catching Joe with a big inverted DDT from the corner off a moonsault attempt. AJ nails the moonsault from the second rope, but Joe gets his knees up. Joe powerbombs AJ for a 2 count. Joe goes right into the crab submission. Joe immediately turns that into an SCF in the middle of the ring. AJ gets his foot on the bottom rope to break the hold. Joe with a headbutt in the corner. Joe drops AJ with a forearm smash in the corner. Joe whips AJ hard in the corner as AJ side steps. Joe charges in. AJ fights back, but Joe hits him in the throat. AJ keeps going and lifts Joe up on his shoulders. AJ brings Joe down with a rack bomb and holds it for a 2 count. AJ springboards in from the apron and hits a 450, but Joe kicks out just in time. AJ calls for a Styles clash, but Joe counters and catapults AJ face first into the turnbuckles. Joe bounces off the ropes and then floors AJ with a vicious lariat as AJ kicks out at 2. AJ is bleeding from the nose now. Joe goes for the muscle buster, but it's blocked. Joe blocks the Styles Clash. AJ tries to pull Joe out of the corner for the calf crusher, but they keep fighting. Joe drops AJ with a stiff insecurity, but he's slow to make the cover, and AJ kicks out at 2. Joe goes for the clothesline, but AJ nails the Pele kick. Joe jumps AJ to the apron, but AJ nails a forearm. AJ springboards in for the phenomenal forearm, but Joe catches him on the way down and applies a coquina clutch. AJ stops it from being fully locked in. Joe finally drops back and applies the hold, but AJ immediately turns that into a pin to retain. After bell, Joe is furious. He yells at the referee while standing over AJ. As AJ's music hits, Joe goes to the announce table, ranting about the call. Graves kisses up to him. AJ slowly gets to his feet as the referee hands him the title. Joe runs back in and grabs the title, raising it in the air to a pop. AJ drops Joe, sending him out of the ring. AJ's music hits again. He raises his title to a pop. We go to replays, and irate Joe marches up the ramp, apparently yelling for SmackDown General Manager Paige. AJ continues to hit celebration as we get a replay from a different angle. The replay showed AJ did tap out. AJ looks on as his music plays as we go to another break. I myself fell asleep at one point during that match. So I'm getting dirt sheet results for there. Well, the replay, okay. And then we go to Ronda Rousey backstage warming up as Natalya talks to her. Charlotte Cruz is backstage with The Miz and Maurice. Miz says Daniel Bryan should be thanking them for letting him be relevant again and by being next to them. He goes on and says they will turn Bryan and Bree's Bella's cheap publicity stunt into a PR nightmare. Maurice also weighs in and threatens Bree. They laugh about Bryan and Bree being irrelevant losers. They kiss and walk off. Tom leads us to a video package for tonight's mixed tag team match. Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella versus The Miz and Maurice. Regarding the ring, out first comes Maurice with her own theme. Miz was out next with his theme. The couple heads to the ring together. Brie was out first for her team. Nothing said about her music. Bryan was out next, and they head to the ring together as fans chant yes with him. Brie wants to start the match, and Maurice stares her down. Brie charges, but Maurice jumps to her corner and avoids it. Maurice tags Miz in, Bryan tags in, and they size each other up. Maurice provides a cheap distraction from the apron, allowing Miz to deck Bryan and unload on him. Miz drops Bryan in the corner and plays to the crowd for boos. Bryan avoids the move and runs the ropes for a clothesline to drop Miz. Bryan mounts Miz in the corner and rocks him as the fan count along. More back and forth. Bryan goes for the ass lock, but Miz avoids it. They go to the floor for a breather. Miz taunts Bryan from the outside. Bryan tags in Brie, which brings in Maurice. Brie charges, but Maurice immediately tags in Miz, which brings Bryan back in. Maurice stops the pose on her way out. Bryan catches a kick and hits a dragon screw leg whip to bring Miz back down. Bryan rocks Miz again, and they run the ropes, and Miz connects with a knee to the gut. Miz taunts Brie before hitting a corner drop kick on Bryan. Miz with a second corner drop kick. While mocking Bryan, Miz mocks a yes chant and hits the flying corner clothesline next. Miz goes to the top, but Bryan cuts him off, and Miz falls down. Bryan locks Miz in the corner. Bryan climbs up for a super hurricanrana as Miz goes down. Bryan leaves a Borgasm yes chance as he waits for Miz to get back up. Miz dodges a flying knee and rolls Bryan up for a 2 count. Bryan turns that into the yes lock, but Maurice runs in to break it up. Brie chases Maurice around the ring and got back in. The referee stops Brie. Miz takes advantage of the distraction but can't hit the skull-crushing finale as Bryan rolls him up for a 2 count. Bryan with a Borgasm kicks in the corner and a corner drop kick. He goes for another corner drop kick but lands on his head as Miz moves out of the way. Miz keeps Bryan grounded and works him over, forcing Brie to watch. Brie tries to rally the crowd. Bryan fights out, but Miz hits the backbreaker neck breaker combo for a 2 count. Miz with shoulder starts in the corner, followed by the yes kicks. I'll just call them Borgasm kicks. How's that? It's fan chant no at him. Miz drops Bryan in the corner and goes back to taunting Bree. They end up top, but Bryan counters and fights back, headbutting Miz to the mat. Bryan stands straight up and goes for the diving headbutt, but Miz moves out of the way. Bryan crawls for a tag to Bree. Miz grabs his leg and goes to punching on the back of his head. Miz gets knocked over the top to the floor. Bryan crawls for a tag, and in comes Bree, which brings in Maurice. Maurice hesitates, and in comes Miz to get in between them. Bree punches Miz and beats on him against the ropes. Bree runs the ropes and baseball slides between Miz's legs, knocking Maurice back to the floor. Bree slams Maurice's head over into the announce table. Bree sends Miz to the floor and nails a flying knee from the apron. A big Borgasm yes chant from the crowd starts up again. Miz counters and whips Bryan into the barrier. Bree returns to the ring and tackles Maurice. Bree with a missile drop kick from the second rope for a 2 count. As Miz breaks up the pin, Bryan runs back in and beats Miz into the corner. Bryan yells at Miz in his face. They now have Miz and Maurice on their knees in the middle of the ring. Bree and Bryan delivering the yes kicks to their opponents simultaneously while the fans chant with them. Miz and Maurice duck to avoid the final kick. Rolling to the floor, it looks like they're about to walk out of the match. Bree and Bryan run after them and club them from behind. Bree brings Maurice back to the ring. Bree calls for the Bree mode. She sends Maurice into the rope for the knee to the face. Maurice accidentally knocks Miz out of the ring. Bree tries to take advantage with a roll up, but Maurice turns that into a pin attempt. Around and pins Bree for the win. Winners of the match, Miz and Maurice. After the bell, Miz and Maurice quickly retreat to the stage to celebrate. Disappointed Bree and Bryan look on from the ring as music hits. Miz and Maurice kiss on the stage and continue their celebration while Bree apologizes to Bryan in the ring. By the way, I still know that Maurice has a profile on a dating site. Back from the break, and Raw announcers show us highlights from the Orton versus Hardy McSell match that opened the pay-per-view. Colesaw says doctors at the local hospital report that Hardy has been throwing up blood and is in severe abdominal pain. Colesaw says we will have another update on Hardy later. We're getting video packs for the Raw Women's title match. We're going to ring out comes Alexa Bliss with Mickie James and Alicia Fox. Raw Women's Champion Ronda Rousey without next with Natalya. We get former ring introductions from JoJo. The bell rings and we get an early takedown. Bliss goes for the injured ribs. Early on, as Rousey counters. Rousey with a quick pin attempt. Rousey with more offense and another quick pin attempt. They lock up again and goes to the ropes. Bliss gets in Rousey's face but gets dropped with a jab. Bliss takes Rousey to the corner and stomps away on the ribs. Rousey drops Bliss again and mounts her. Rousey goes for an armbar, but is distracted by Mickie and Alicia getting on the apron. Rousey keeps control and teases the armbar again, but gets distracted. Rousey has words with Fox and James at ringside. Rousey decks Bliss and brings her back in the ring. Rousey taunts Bliss. Bliss charges, but Rousey moves, and Bliss lands on her feet. Lands on her friends at ringside. All three are down. Rousey brings Bliss back into the ring, but Bliss counters and drops her. Bliss works on the injured ribs. Bliss gets a 2 count. And then Bliss rams Rousey into the corner and nails a thrust. Bliss with a stiff kick to the ribs. Fox and James applaud as the referee checks on Rousey. Bliss takes Rousey back down and applies a abdominal stretch as Rousey sells the rib injury. Bliss tightens the hold and Mickie taunts Rousey from the outside. Fans start rallying for Rousey. Rousey counters and scoots Bliss on her shoulders. It looks like Rousey's ribs give out on her as Bliss drops her. Bliss with more offense and a 2 count. Bliss with another stretch on the mat as Rousey screams out in pain. Natalya tries to rally the fans up for her. Bliss takes Rousey back face first into the turnbuckles. Bliss with more kicks into her corner. Bliss goes up top, but Rousey cuts her off and climbs up. They tangle on the top. Bliss counters and slides down. Rousey with a right hand to stop the powerbomb attempt. Rousey gets turned upside down in the corner and Bliss kicks her in the ribs for a 2 count. Bliss then takes Rousey back down with a submission to focus on the ribs. Bliss stops another comeback attempt with a basement drop kick. Bliss launches Rousey face first in her bottom turnbuckle and then wraps her ribs around the ring post, forcing her to scream out in pain. Fox and James get involved, but Natalya has had enough. Natalya launches Fox on the floor. Mickey is on the apron with Rousey's hair in her fist now. Rousey fights her as Natalya comes over. Bliss and Rousey collide in the middle of the ring with crossbody attempts. They both go down. I think I was waking up from a nap. As they both went down. Rousey still selling the ribs. Referee counts. Bliss gets up first. Rousey counters a suplex and rolls Bliss up for a 2 count. They trade pin attempts and strikes again. Bliss with more forearm shots and trash talking while Rousey is down. Taunting her in her face, Rousey powers up and yells back at Bliss in her face. Rousey with a gut-wrench powerbomb out of nowhere. Rousey pounds on her own ribs to psych herself up. Rousey with strikes on Bliss into the corner. Rousey charges but runs into a boot to the ribs. Rousey blocks a strike and scoots Bliss on her shoulders. Rousey then drives Bliss into the mat, goes for the armbar as Japan's pop. Rousey locks it in and Bliss quickly taps out for the finish. After the match, Rousey stands tall with the title as Natalya joins for the celebration as we go to replays. Bliss, James, and Fox watch from the stage as Rousey and Natalya celebrate. Coleslaw shows us a replay of the controversial finish of Joe versus Styles. Joe is backstage yelling at the referee and Paige now. Paige reminds Joe he has another shot at AJ at the Super Showdown. Joe rants some more and says that's not good enough. He wants AJ with no countouts, no disqualification. Paige says there has to be a winner. She agrees with Joe for once, and Joe says not to worry. There will be a winner as Joe walks off. Yep, I'm definitely up for that. Announcers then hype the Super Showdown event from Australia on October 6th. 5 days after my birthday, I will be 50 years old. Believe that! Coleslaw leads us to a video package for tonight's main event. Hell in a Cell Universal title match, Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns. We go to the ring for tonight's main event, and the actual main event started at somewhere between 9:08 and 9:13. So I know it's going to be a pretty quick match, somewhat. As we go to the ring for tonight's main event, the red sail is lowered around the ring. JoJo does introduces a special referee for the match. Out comes Hall of Famer Mick Foley. Bang, bang, to a pop. Foley enters the cell and is wearing custom referee button-up shirt. Braun Strowman is out next to officially cash in his Money in the Bank title shot. Braun does have the briefcase with him. Braun enters the cell and waits as the boos start up. WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns is out next to a mixed reaction. Reigns stops and looks at the cell before entering. He also looks at his belt. And back to the ring. Reigns enters the cell and the door is chained shut. We get formal ring introductions from JoJo. Reigns raises the title during the introductions, but Braun snatches it and raises it up himself. Reigns mocks him, and here we go. Reigns with offense, but Braun sends him into the corner and runs in with a big splash. Back and forth for a few seconds until Braun mocks Reigns again. Braun charges and knocks Reigns from the apron into the steel. Reigns lands on the floor. Braun follows and sends Reigns into the red steel, then face first in the steel ring post. Braun launches Reigns into the steel again. Braun taunts Reigns about having nowhere to run and no way for his boys to get in and help him. Braun brings him back into the ring, but Reigns fights back. Braun grabs him by the throat. Reigns ducks a shot and rocks Braun, knocking him through the ropes. Braun recovers and nails a big shoulder tackle on the outside, sending Reigns into the steel again. Braun works Reigns over and sends him into the apron. The steel steps and the cell several times. Reigns comes back and nails a drive-by on the outside. Braun turns around and clubs Reigns on the outside, dropping him on the apron. Fans are chanting, "Get these hands," as Braun brings a kendo stick from under the ring. Reigns takes the stick and beats Braun with it. Shattering the stick, Braun takes it and breaks it, then rolls Reigns in the ring. Reigns rocks Braun as he re-enters. Reigns grabs the steel chairs and rocks Braun with it several times. Braun is still standing. Braun catches a chair shot, but Reigns counters and Braun goes shoulder first into the ring post. Reigns drops Braun on the steel chair with a DDT, but Braun kicks out at 2. Reigns with a Superman punch, then another, but Braun is still standing. Reigns goes for a third Superman punch, but Braun blocks it and chokeslams him for a very close 2 count as the announcers wonder if Foley botched the count. Braun argues with Foley. Braun ends up running into a big boot in the corner. More back and forth. Braun lifts Reigns, but Reigns connects with a Superman punch on the way down for another close 2 count. Braun goes to the floor for a breather. Reigns keeps control and falls to the floor. Reigns runs around the ring and charges at Braun, but Braun meets him with the steel steps to the face. Braun tosses the steps into the ring and stands over Reigns. Braun rolls Reigns back into the ring and smacks him in the face with the steps again. Braun with a 2 count. Braun yells at Reigns to stay down. Why don't you stay down, moron? Braun picks up the steps again and drives him down into Reigns' chest. Braun tosses the steps out of the ring. Braun hits a running power slam, but Reigns kicks out at 2. Braun brings the table into the ring now and leans it up in the corner. Braun scoots Reigns, but Reigns slides out and stuns him with a Superman punch and then another. Reigns then nails a spear, putting Braun through the table in the corner. Reigns rolls Braun over, covers, and only gets a 2 count. As they're both down for about 10 minutes, and we had outside action. Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre run down to the cell now, arguing with the referee about getting inside. So they push on the door a few times. It doesn't open. Intercontinental Champion Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose run down to attack them. Ziggler tries to escape to the crowd, but they stop him and send him into the side of the cell. Ambrose and Rollins take apart the announce table. McIntyre makes a save. And by the way, they don't have regular monitors. They have laptops. McIntyre holds on them, breaking them intentionally when they hit the ground. McIntyre makes a save and beats on Ambrose. Ziggler starts climbing on the outside as Rollins follows. Makes it to the top of the cell, and they start brawling. McIntyre's climbing up the side of the structure now. McIntyre and Ziggler double team Rollins up top. Ambrose is slowly climbing up as he has a kendo stick. Then Ninja Turtle style. Fan chant, this is awesome as Rollins gets double teamed. And Ambrose climbs. Ambrose makes it to the top and unloads with a kendo stick on shots to Ziggler and McIntyre. McIntyre blocks a shot and unloads on Ambrose. He catches it in between his arm and underneath his arm, pounding on each other. McIntyre drops Ambrose with a big clothesline on top of the cell. As the fence part of it does have a leeway. I was expecting it to fall, but it did not happen. Ziggler starts climbing up down the outside of the cell, but Rollins goes after him. We see Braun and Reigns still down in the ring. This action has gone on for about 8 minutes at that point. Up on top of the cell. Rollins and Ziggler trade shots on the side of the cell, way up high. Rollins and Ziggler both are climbing down as they get to the middle section of the ring, of the cell. Well, they both nail moves simultaneously, and they go through the announce tables at ringside. Each one goes through the other one simultaneously. A holy crap chant breaks up for the crowd. Rollins and Ziggler are laid out in the debris. Music interrupts. Out comes Brock Lesnar, and Paul Heyman comes out with him. As the crowd goes wild, Paul Heyman is with him. Heyman argues with a standard referee about opening the cell, distracting Mick Foley. Lesnar is now sporting a beard. Doesn't wait and kicks the cell off the hinges on the opposite side, but the chain was still there and it eventually broke as well. Lesnar enters the cell, hops in the ring, staring down at Reigns and Strowman. Heyman sprays something in the eyes from a spray can and into Mick Foley and takes him out. So you got no referee at all. As they are arguing on the outside, Lesnar brings the part of the cell door in the ring and beats on both match participants with parts of the table as well. The one that broke in the middle of the ring. Lesnar then scooped up Strowman, nailed him with an F5. Panchat suplex City now. Lesnar scoops Reigns and nails him with an F5, dropping him on top of Braun. Lesnar stands over Reigns and Strowman to yell out. Fan chant one more time, but Lesnar exits the cell, heads up the ramp with Heyman. Reigns and Strowman are down in the middle of the ring. A new referee enters and immediately calls for the bell to end the match. The winner of the match, no contest. Referee calls for more efficient. She hit the ring, checks on Strowman and Reigns. Hell, the cell goes off at that point. It immediately goes to Mick Foley special after that. And that concludes my results for Hell in a Cell Pay-Per-View 2018. Thanks again. Peace out. See you when I'll be here. If you don't know, just call me, brothers and sisters.